on November 27th, 2023. And it's quite a powerful full moon. It's a full moon happening in the sign of Gemini. We have the sun in Sagittarius. If you'd like to book a reading, there is a link down below, as well as a link for appreciation of these videos. We're going to get into the energies of this full moon, and then we're going to go into each of the 12 signs. So look for the timestamps down below. Now, this full moon is happening on the 27th of November 2023. It's happening in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is a sign of duality. It is Mercury ruled as well, and it's the energy of information, communication, our environment. So there is something that you are releasing with a full moon. A full moon is a completion point, like you're done, right? And also it's about releasing, letting go, as well as seeing something that you didn't know. And given that this full moon is happening in the sign of Gemini, ruled by Mercury, there's information with this full moon that can easily come to light. Whenever we are dealing with, let's talk about Mercury retrogrades, because we do have Mercury already in the pre-shadow period. Mercury will go retrograde in December, right? So it's already slowed down. Mercury would have slowed down on the 25th of November, started slowing down, and it's in the sign of Sagittarius. So there is something that we didn't know, especially dealing with the past, some details that we missed, some steps that we missed, information that we missed, and now it will be coming to light with this full moon, because full moons, they're big, beautiful in the sky. The full moon light is when we get the information, things get revealed to us. So that's the important thing to know about full moons. They like to reveal what we didn't know. It's where we can see parts of ourselves, we can see into parts of our lives and our environment and situations very clearly. And that's what full moons offer us. Because Mercury is the ruler of this chart, with the energy of the full moon being in Gemini, and that's what we're reading for, it is telling us that we are definitely looking back, right? We're looking back. This is where people can bring up past issues, past conversations, information that you didn't know about the past, especially of June of this year, can now be revealed to you. And this gives you clarity. You are seeing the details in order with the sun in Sagittarius. Mercury in its pre-shadow period before it goes retrograde in Sagittarius. It will go retrograde in December though in Capricorn, then retrograde back into Sagittarius. So we are going to be looking back and forth. And with the energy too, we have Mars in Sagittarius. This is energy of intensity. Sagittarius is a fire sign. It likes growth, the bigger picture, the fuller picture. It's where we learn through experience. Whereas Gemini is the details, Sagittarius is, now that I have the details, when I implement it into my life, what am I learning from this? What am I learning through these experiences? So we will be looking for lessons learned during this full moon. That's a big thing. Now, Mercury is in the sign of Sagittarius, pre-shadow period retrograde, and it is in a square to Neptune in Pisces. This can create a lot of confusion, a lot of, I wouldn't say this would be the best day to go signing any contracts, even a few days before, a few days after. Give it a moment, because it's almost like with Neptune, it's an illusion, it's a fantasy, it's manipulation. It's where someone is selling you a story that isn't real. And because Mercury is in this square with Neptune, we need to understand that we feel almost like, and it could be intuitive, like you just get a gut feeling, you're not getting the truth here. And Sagittarius is about getting these answers, seeing our options, seeing our growth. So there are options available to you. There is the energy of, I want to be optimistic. We are in Sagittarius season. We want to grow. We want to do different things. We want to see the bigger picture. But there are details missing. And the Gemini full moon will give it to you. Know that you could be feeling a bit confused, because Gemini is that energy of back and forth, duality, having to deal with basically questioning yourself and questioning others. the conversations that happen during this time, because we are in the energy of, you know, ideas, philosophy, communication. Gemini rules communication, right? So we could have a lot of miscommunication, misunderstandings, and conflicts within our conversations. That is something to be aware of. Because the sun is in Sagittarius, Mars is in Sagittarius, this is very much aggressive energy. It is. Whenever we have the sun and Mars together, this is where people are more impulsive, quick to act, quick to respond. They just want to get things done. They want to get moving. That's where the impulse comes in. And this is where accidents can happen. People also feel more aggressive. This is where we are triggered a lot more when it comes to our, you know, triggers, basically. Whatever triggers you within your life, it kind of makes you feel more irritable, more annoyed, more frustrated a lot quicker. And this is important to be aware of. So know that that energy is happening so that you can take a moment to stop and think about things. The moon is in an air sign, so think about things, process things, but don't overthink it to the point that you are remaining stuck. Both these energies of Gemini and Sagittarius look for movement. They want to see things moving. And how do we move things when we're dealing with this kind of energy? It's generally through basically remaining flexible. So when we are getting these opportunities to pause, it's about being flexible. If new information or you're getting an understanding of someone by their responses to you, it's a time to pause, right? Shift in a different direction. So there's going to be a lot of changing of direction with this full moon. This is where we want to change things up, right? We want to see growth. We want to see the energy of Sagittarius come through, because we have a lot in Sagittarius. We have Mercury there, Mars, and the Sun. So this is where we are definitely wanting to remain optimistic. We want to see the growth. But the Gemini full moon is saying, hold on, you don't know all the details. Before you proceed with that project or what you're learning or what's going on within your environment, what's going on within your conversations, what's going on within your conversation with yourself, stop for a minute. And there is a stop, actually, because Saturn is also involved in the sign of Pisces, creating this T-square between the Sun, Moon, and Saturn in Pisces, and Mars as well, where it wants us to stop. Saturn is stop. It's karmic. It's telling you, you have learned these lessons. You've been through these experiences previously, right? We are dealing with a Mercury. That's in its pre-shadow period, like it's preparing for its retrograde. What have you learned? And where should you stop before you invite or react in a way that is not going to be good for you? And what do I mean by not good for you? It can create more frustration, aggravation, more conflicts. There will definitely be conversations and people within your environment that you no longer want to conversate with. You no longer see the connection, especially neighbors, siblings, people you communicate, can even be friends as well. Because when we are talking about Gemini, a full moon Gemini, it has to do with our thinking, communicating. It's an air sign and it's ruled by Mercury. So it's how we're expressing ourselves. Do we want to change that? Do we want to change the people that we are communicating with? Like, do we no longer see any growth in these conversations, which is basically Sagittarius energy? But Mars is the energy of action, motivation, aggravation, frustration. And because it's in a square to Saturn, we need to stop before we take action. We need to reassess what we have learned throughout the year, through these experiences of our connections with others. We do have Venus in a square to Pluto. Venus is in Libra, in a square to Pluto in Capricorn. So this is going to be affecting our relationships, especially, right? And also finances when it comes to Venus. And if the Pluto energy is transformative, it can show us power plays, power dynamics, hidden enemies. It can show us basically what we need to seek. And there can be a lot of relationships and connections, once again, with the square to Pluto, that you all of a sudden have it revealed to you that you feel the need to put an end to, because Pluto is a planet of death and rebirth. When we put an end to a connection, yes, that's the death of that connection. And the rebirth process is basically us deciding, no, I've learned from this. I get the wisdom out of it, I get the Pluto, the hidden truth from this, and I now move on to connect in a different way. I see the power plays, I see the manipulations, and that can happen a lot within relationships, right? So this is the energy of the full moon. I would say the best thing you can do with this full moon is to stop. Don't get involved in any conflicts that want to be blown out of proportion. The anger and aggression is still very much alive on the planet because of Mars and Sun together. So we're definitely feeling aggravated, tense, and Mars is the god of war. That's what it means in mythology. It's where we soldier up, right? So we can definitely see this energy playing out within our world, where people are wanting to basically fight each other, right? And even in our interpersonal relationships. And this is where we are also looking at the details, because what we get from the details of the full moon in Gemini is going to shift our belief system. Because Neptune is involved, this is the energy of illusion. So pay attention to what is happening in your environment. Release connections, especially gossip. Yeah, this is Gemini energy. This is where you might get information from conversations that were had about you months ago. This is where you might get information on something that you're trying to research. This is where you get that information. But remember to stop and slow down. Not the best full moon, I would say, to be signing on any contracts or anything like that, because there is a lot of that hidden energy, especially with Neptune, the illusion. It's not the best time to, really take anything at face value. This is the energy of Sagittarius, seeing the bigger picture, trusting your inner growth from experiences you've had previously to guide you with the light of the full moon in the direction towards freedom and liberation. And that's so seeing the details. Okay, so let's get now into all 12 signs. Aries, this full moon is all about you releasing and letting go and completing things in terms of communication, your environment. Your conversations with others could be very heated at this time. Siblings, people within your environment, there might even be a point where you are done, where you decide you're no longer wishing to communicate with certain people. Information around what others might have said might also be revealed, as well as information that you have been seeking prior. This full moon for you, especially when it comes to your mind, watch how you're thinking, because your mind will be very active. This is not the time to be too hard on your thought process with yourself, like self-critical within your own mind. Remember to release that. This is a shift of mental clarity for you. And in order to gain that clarity, it's not about you being hard on yourself. It's actually about changing your inner dialogue that you have with yourself. There might even be things that you need to communicate and express. And during this full moon, you feel the need to express them, right? You feel you need to bring it up. This full moon, if you've been studying or learning anything, it's great for you to complete it. Like you might feel like, okay, I've completed this or completed a project you've been working on. You could also like tying up the loose ends, or you've just completed it and now your mind needs that mental reprieve and time to self. So know that this full moon is very active when it comes to your mind, how you're thinking, communicating, the things that you are learning. You might even decide to make changes to what you are learning, how you approach details and information going forward. Taurus, this full moon is if you've been working on anything or planting any new seeds, especially in June, like you started to start a project, especially when it comes to finances and ways to boost your finances, you can reap the financial rewards for it. Right? Because that's when we had a new moon in June, and this is now the full moon. So if you've been working on any new ideas that you want to implement, a new budget or so forth back in June, you now can reap the financial rewards. However, this full moon is telling you to take a close look at your finances, right? Details about your finances is what you will gain clarity about during this full moon. It's also important for you to release any fears and doubts about self-worth and how you can boost your income. This full moon is all about making those changes to your earning potential and asking yourself, what is holding you back? This full moon will also show you connections that you need to, people that you need to collaborate with, work with, in order to reap your financial rewards. and work with and collaborate with. What does that mean? These are the actual connections that you have. So if we're talking about a Gemini full moon, it has to do about your environment, the people you conversate with, the people that maybe you decide to send your resume towards, or maybe the person that you're sharing your idea about how can we work towards this in order to improve things. It wouldn't be the best full moon for you to spend, right, to do any big purchases at the time of the full moon, 3 days before, 3 days after, right? But more so on the full moon, because you were gaining financial clarity, you were seeing your self-worth and value, you were releasing anything that also devalues you and diminishes your self-worth. And you can definitely get a lot of details about how you can boost your finances going forward. However, if you've been working on it since June of this year, you could reap the financial rewards. Gemini, this full moon is happening within your sign. So you could be feeling exhausted, needing some time out, some time to self. This full moon is a big release for you. What is stopping you from your goals, your aspirations, what's important to you, and your self-identity? This full moon is highlighting an identity shift within you. Now, we do have the Sun and Mars and Mercury as well opposite you in your relationships. So your relationships are involved in this, because as you are changing, right, and you want to prioritize your goals, because we do have that square to Saturn, and Saturn's in your area of career, reputation, and sense of purpose. What that square is telling you, okay, you have these goals, there's things you want to achieve. What within your relationships could be holding you back, right? And not only love, it's also personal, professional, your one-on-one connections that you feel are holding you back. And you're really evolving within yourself in order to achieve through hard work and discipline with Saturn. But it's you seeing the details about yourself and your connections, that you are now closing the chapter on connections that no longer serve you. You're closing the chapter on basically parts of yourself that you feel didn't serve you in order to achieve your success, whether that is your sense of purpose, goals that you personally have for yourself, whether that's better health or career change, or whatever it is that you're working on in terms of career. And your reputation is highlighted, where you're taking a very serious approach to who you are through evolution of self, as you're clearing out old patterns, as well as the old patterns that enabled those relationships, right? Those connections, personally and professionally. And as you do that, you can now work towards achieving your goals. Cancer, this full moon is all about rest, rejuvenation, time to self-isolation, needing that time away from the world. It's your private area of life. You might be needing more sleep. It is the area of life where you close doors, close chapters. You were just done. It is the energy of ending. It's a full moon is endings, and this is a big ending for you. You could also be feeling emotionally sensitive more than usual at this full moon. Now, Sagittarius season has you pretty busy and pretty charged up, as well with Mars, when you're getting things done, you're focusing on your routine, you're feeling active. And then this full moon happens and you're needing this time, 3 days before and 3 days after, of just needing some time to yourself. Closing out chapters, letting go, releasing, healing, putting an end to cycles that no longer serve you, saying goodbye. This is where you end something within your life. And it's like you just end it because you feel like either it's sabotaging you in some way, it's not for your highest good, it's keeping you stuck in a pattern. It's a great full moon if you are deciding to end any addictive energy, like if you are overwatching television, overwatching television, over shopping, anything like that, overeating. It's like anything that gives in or feeds into addiction, you are actually putting an end to it. And sometimes it can even be relationships. Sometimes we put ourselves in cycles within relationships, and you're putting an end to those things, and it could leave you feeling deeply emotional. You do have that square to Saturn, and this is all about the bigger picture. This ending is changing your belief systems about yourself, and it's giving you growth and expansion and seeing the bigger picture. If you just stop, close those cycles, and see the bigger picture of the wisdom you are gaining from these experiences, although challenging, but it's teaching you about shifting the belief systems you have about yourself. How we feel about ourselves and what we believe within ourselves really impacts what we achieve within our lives, in our relationships, in our professional life, in all areas, and our health as well. Leo. Now this full moon for you is asking you about the people you connect to, right? The people you choose to connect to via choice. So you choose to. And it has to do with your social circles, friendships, as well as any group that you choose to associate with, friends, family, co-workers, that hobby group, that cycling group, all the various groups. So if you have a group within your life and you choose to associate with, you make a choice to do so. This is where the full moon is asking you to change and shift your connections. You might have outgrown these connections. You may not see them anymore on the same soul level as you. And this happens. It's like we just do not vibe anymore and you're seeking your tribe. Now, Sagittarius season has you seeking fun. Mars is making you very proactive when it comes to romance, fun, pleasure, creative projects, right opposite this area of life. And this is the energy where you could even come across, if you are in a relationship, aggressive connections in your romantic life. It doesn't have to be, sometimes it just means passionate, but it can be as well. And this is you seeking to connect to people in a different way. And you might also be asking yourself what people that you connect to and spend your time with is taking you away from the future vision and dreams that you have for yourself. Now there is that square, right, with Saturn, and this is asking you to see, right, to stop and understand what you have learned when it comes to power plays, power dynamics within your life, and where can you maintain and have healthy boundaries. What have you learned about boundaries in your connections to others, especially with this full moon? Definitely a big change when it comes to people you interact with via choice, that you might decide you no longer wish to connect anymore, and this is taking you away from the future vision and dream you have for you. Virgo, if you planted any new seeds of changes you wanted to make in June, you could actually see them coming to fruition, you achieving in terms of your career, right? Goals or sense of purpose. So what were you thinking about, new ideas within June that you wanted to accomplish? You could actually accomplish them. If you have not, and basically maybe you didn't do the work because of the area of life that we have to work to achieve, right? You could be feeling like you need to make changes. I need to make changes to my goals. My goals either are no longer aligned to me. I need to make changes to my career. My career just no longer feels aligned to me, where I'm working, what I'm doing. I need to make a change. I either need to try for that promotion or actually completely change where I'm working. So Virgos can see a lot of career changes happening, sense of purpose as well. What gives you purpose? What makes you feel full within your life? This is where changes could also be happening, especially if during June of this year you didn't plant those seeds and focus on the new beginnings and fresh starts that were coming to this area of life, because a full moon is a culmination point, it's a completion point. So whatever you've been working on, you'd either reap the rewards from it, or you'd have to look at what changes you need to make in order to reap those rewards, what changes you need to make to your career and goals and so forth. And there is a push and pull happening with you, because we do have the Sun, Mars, all in the area of, Mars especially in the area of home and family. This can be very frustrating and create conflicts with those closest to you. Either people that you allow to your emotional home, like come to your home, so conflicts there, or conflicts with people that you actually reside with. And this can also be creating this need to reprioritize goals in a different way with the square to Saturn. It's time you to stop and ask yourself with Saturn, what have you learned from your one-on-one connections, both personally and professionally within your life, Virgo? What have you learned? What have you learned since March of this year, 2023, with Saturn in this area of life, restricting and creating boundaries within your one-on-one connections? With Saturn, there's been restricting these one-on-one connections, maybe even removing certain connections from your life. And it's telling you, if you need to accomplish these goals and so forth, what kind of people do you need to interact with? What kind of relationships do you want, professionally and personally? So this full moon is very important for you, Virgo, because it impacts your sense of reputation, how the world sees you as well, and what you wish to create when it comes to your career, your reputation, what you wish to achieve. But it focuses on what are your relationships offering you, and what have you learned from them? Where do you need to create those healthy boundaries? when it comes to your relationships. And Mars is very uncomfortable for you, especially in the area of life that it is, where it comes to home and family. It's great for getting things done around the home, but it can create conflicts and frustrations within the home or people that you allow to your home. So if you have a friend that come over to your home, guess what? You've just allowed them into your emotional space, right? If you have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, and they come over to your home, you just allow them into your comfort zone, your emotional space. And Mars is very active there, creating a lot of tension. But great for you actually focusing on the goals you wish to achieve. Libra, this full moon is all about expansion and growth, and how have you been limiting yourself? We need to look at where the sun is as well, because the sun is showing you maybe you need to change your mindset. Maybe you need to change the people you communicate with, right? These are the changes you need to make within your life, and it can be even your environment. The changes you need to make in order to expand and grow. So this full moon is asking you for expansion, growth, getting out of a routine. What has been so routine for you that now you've lost the ability to have an adventure within this life? You'll also be going through shifts within your belief system. And this will be stemmed from your communication with others, your connections to others, especially your environment. You are one of those signs that might be even thinking about traveling or doing something where you're actually taking a trip to get out of a rut, or learning something through experience, taking up a class or creating a class, becoming the teacher. But it is a point of expansion and growth through you shifting your belief systems, especially how you think about yourself and the people that you surround yourself with and communicate with. And the area of life is telling you to stop and look at how your day-to-day routine is basically evolving through the connections you have around you. Some people can distract you from how you want to grow and expand. And that's what it's telling you, Libra. It can actually stop you. If you're interacting with people that are aggressive, or the communication is just not aligned to who you are, this will be really taking away from your expansion growth. And this full moon is telling you, hey, what ways do you want to expand and grow? What ways do you want to shift your life? And how can you definitely do so? By shifting your belief systems, how you communicate with you, and how you also communicate with others, and where do you no longer wish to communicate as well. Scorpio, this powerful full moon is all about you creating some healthy boundaries, digging deep into your subconscious mind and processing fears, anxieties, and past trauma. So a lot of emotions can surface up to the surface, and you can feel very triggered at this time. Create those healthy boundaries. Where are you investing your time? Where are you investing your money? Where are you investing your energy? And what is draining your energy? And create those healthy boundaries. If you've applied for loans and so forth, you could receive financial payouts, or anything you've been investing your energy in towards, you can reap that financial payoff as well. Very good prominent energy for that. However, you might also be reassessing your finances if you haven't been working on anything. Reassessing the finances, reassessing the budget, reassessing your energy as well, where you putting your money. You might also be looking at a partner's money if you partnered up at this time. So how are we spending? What are we budgeting? What do we have? All of those things in terms of finances will be predominantly on your mind and in your energy during this full moon, but you will be releasing and letting go of any fears and anxieties to accomplishing your financial goals, and researching about things financially, either with a partner or partner's finances, or your own finances, where you're getting information on how you should be flexible and change things up when it comes to your finances during this full moon. Sagittarius, this full moon can have you feeling pretty moody and even very reflective on past issues. This is because Mercury is in Sagittarius in the pre-shadow period, Mars is in Sagittarius, and the Sun is in Sagittarius, and it is birthday season. So you could be feeling quite amped up, right? Either you want to take action upon something, or you are feeling quite aggressive, frustrated. It's bringing up a lot of those irritable feelings. But the full moon is happening opposite you in your one-on-one partnerships. There's something that needs to be released within these partnerships, and you'd be one of those signs who'll be stepping up into empowerment, because Mars is where we have the courage and we are brave to end connections personally and professionally that no longer serve us. So a relationship could be coming to an end here. Relationships that will survive are relationships that are willing to respect your boundaries, Mars energy in your sign, to respect you as a person. Those that are not will fall away. There is that square that's telling you to lean on family and your emotional comfort, your emotional support system during this time, because there's a lot of amped up energy with Mars in your sign, right? And you are very reflective on the past, especially past experiences. And this full moon will definitely be the full moon for you, ending any cycles within relationships. Healing can happen, but it will be with relationships that respect your empowered version and boundaries that you have when it comes to taking action to who you are and what's important to you. Relationships that fall away will be those relationships that basically didn't give you the energy that you required in order for a relationship to thrive. But definitely highlighting your one-on-one connections. Can relationships go to next level? Yes. This full moon can also highlight relationships going to next level, a deeper connection, right? But it is going to be predominantly put on the action that you take, right? As you take as a Sagittarius, or maybe expressing what it is that's truly important to you. Capricorn, this powerful full moon is coming in for you to make some changes to your health and your routine and your day-to-day routine. So, right, what changes do you need to make to your mind mentally that is no longer of optimal health to you? What changes do you need to make to your emotions? What changes do you need to make to your physical routine? This is Sag season, and Sag season for you is a time of rest and rejuvenation. It's a time where you're needing more isolation, and this full moon is asking you to take care of your day-to-day routine. Eat better. What changes do you need to make to your eating, your sleeping, how you are feeling mentally? What can you do to lift your mood in order to improve health? If you're feeling unwell, do you need to go for a checkup? Do you need to take care? Right? What do you need to do to take care of your health in all realms? When it comes to your day-to-day routine, you could be feeling like you're pretty busy. And this full moon is asking you, okay, prioritize what's important and become organized. If there's anything you've been working on, you could complete that project at this time. This full moon also shows that you are considering making changes to your work life. Especially if you're finding conflict and conflict and irritating issues more than miscommunication with co-workers, is where you decide, what changes do I want to make in terms of my career that will be more beneficial to me, and not like just your work in general. Changes to work will be very good for you, because the changes you make, maybe there's something you're procrastinating on, you need to get it done. You're going to make those changes to improve your productivity, to improve your health, as well as improve your day-to-day routine so that you can be more efficient. Aquarius, this full moon is asking you what makes you happy. Now, you do have the sun and also Mars and Mercury, so you could have friendships that re-emerged into your life, old connections, especially people you used to socialize with re-emerge, or people that you connect to via choice. Mars also, you could have made a lot of aggravations within your social circles and interactions. So the full moon is asking you, where do you need some fun, freedom, some time to actually enjoy the pleasures of life? What gives you fun and pleasure? Have you just been so busy that you haven't stopped to give yourself that fun and pleasure? Maybe your connections have been very frustrating in terms of there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of conflict, people are on edge, people are more aggressive. This is telling you to take that moment to actually ask yourself what gives you fun and pleasure. When it comes to romance, especially romantic interests that have lost their sparkle will fizzle out. Okay? Romances that are there still with the spark can move on to the next level, like to deepen that energy, as well as during this full moon. If you've been working on any creative projects, you can now complete them. Or you might even decide to make changes to your creative projects that you've been working on within your life at this time. If you're an entrepreneur, this energy is like tying up those creative projects, doing things in terms of making changes to your creative projects so that you're having more fun with it. Pisces, this full moon for you is all about family, home, your deepest inner emotions. It's happening in a pretty sensitive part of your area of life. So you might be feeling deeply emotional with this full moon. All right? In the essence that it might be some emotions you need to release. This full moon is also about changes, either changes to your home, your family, living environment, making those changes necessary for growth. So you could either be moving home or thinking about moving home. You could also be contemplating decluttering your home, making those changes, making movements within your home that are for your growth. You could be feeling, like I said, deeply emotional. And this full moon shows that there's a lot of action that you're taking towards career, right? Your public reputation, putting yourself out there as well. Mercury in its pre-shadow period has you contemplating past career choices, and not only just career, but the world, because this is where the world sees us. So Sagittarius seasons where you're predominantly more out there than usual, right? This is where you're accomplishing things, getting things done, setting goals for yourself, doing all the things that are very important for you. But this is telling you with this full moon, spend some time at home. It won't be the best full moon for you to go out. You'll be needing comfort. You'll be needing rest. You might be needing some time at home. You're needing some time out. If there's someone you can share your feelings with, it generally is someone that you are feeling very comfortable with in order to share your feelings. It has been a very, say, Sun in Pisces, a lot of responsibility and pressure and hard work and discipline is very restrictive on you. So it's where you are allowed to share those feelings, maybe even have an emotional release over Saturn being in Pisces, right, since March. But Saturn's telling you to stop, rethink things, especially rethink everything you've been through the year and what have you learned. So when it comes to your home and family matters, see what changes you want to make. Especially when it comes to family, maintain those healthy boundaries, Pisces. There's not the time to, get into the energy of allowing a lot of people that take away from your energy. So be gentle with yourself. Give yourself the nurturing and love and comfort you need at this time. So I've pulled 3 cards for this full moon. It just happened that way. We have the 5 of Wands. So this is a card where you can see many people fighting, right? This is very competitive. It can be competitive in terms of sports, but however, it can also be competition around you, people with different points of view. People are opposing each other with their thoughts. So there will be a lot of back and forth communication and a lot of drama in terms of communication. It is a card of conflict within, conflict around you. Then we have the Judgment card, which tells you an awakening is happening, a revelation. Remember, full moons are enlightening times, and this is a time where you might have a revelation. Will there be some upheaval? Yes. The upheaval comes because when we have a revelation, things change, and through that change, we change, and we have to make life changes. And that's what's telling you. There will be this judgment of having this profound awakening, this profound truth that shifts your reality. Right? Upheaval within your life. There's a lot of chaos, as you can see with this full moon. That's the energy of it. It's busy, it's chaotic, there's a lot of communication, there's a battle, people are fighting, people are going through their things, and the judgment is the awakening. What you need to be aware of, we have the moon. The moon is listen to your intuition. Your intuition will always guide you. Your intuition will show you the red flags. Your intuition is also watch out for the trickery, the deception, the manipulation of others, right? Also with the full moon, it's important that you don't give in to your fears and anxieties so much so that it makes you super paranoid, right? Because with the full moon energy, we can just completely give in to the fears and only see the darkness. We can feel quite depressed. We can feel quite heavy. We can feel the depression because we are so overthinking things that we feel our mind is mentally exhausted, and it brings on a lot of emotions. But remember to quieten that mind of yours. Take a walk in nature, sip a glass of water. Slow down is the message of this full moon. Do not get into anything tricky, meaning manipulation, power plays, or power dynamics, or especially a situation that you see a lot of red flags. Do not give in to that trickster energy. Stay empowered. Thank you so much for watching. Wishing you a beautiful and blessed full moon. Do note, link down below if you'd like to book a reading, as well as a link for appreciation of these videos, and the timestamps are there as well.